to respond with us is Jason Rantz, host of the Jason Rantz radio show. Jason, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It is amazing to me that the left just chooses which narratives, regardless of the facts, to glom onto. I mean, you think back to Michael Brown and Darren Wilson and Obama's Department of Justice coming out and saying, oh, wait, hands up, don't shoot, did not happen. And then with Kyle Rittenhouse, they just double down on that narrative, regardless of the facts. And, you know, he's proven innocent.
It's always so interesting because, you know, generally speaking, when activists take a certain perspective, you hope that the media will correct anything that needs to be corrected. But in this case, as you said, they were the ones who were purposefully corrupting the narrative. They did it for a variety of reasons. I think some people did it because they truly believed the narrative at the time and they were fooled. That's bad journalism. But there are also folks who do take a different perspective because they think it's forwarding a greater purpose. And you can justify pretty much anything when you've bought into the narrative of a certain ideological perspective, right? You've got ideological blinders on. Republicans sometimes do this too, but the ones who are the best at what they do in journalism, they say, you know what, I'm going to pursue the story regardless of where it takes us. And sometimes it takes us to places that ideologically don't align where we want it to go.
So true. And so as a result, there's no need or a feeling to have to retract the story because the story served its purpose when it was told the way it was told. Doesn't matter if it was true. Ultimately, it's crazy. You heard Tucker talk about AnarchoTyranny, this idea. You're out in Seattle, you're out in Portland, which feels like the epicenter of that Antifa, anarchy. What is their goal? So when you see something like what happened in Kenosha with Kyle Rittenhouse, they believe that kind of chaos, that kind of anarchy serves some sort of a purpose.
Yeah, so it's important to separate out the two different groups. You've got the radicals within the BLM movement that want to go after police and they want to forward one particular agenda. But when we're talking about like the Antifa thugs that are out there, they are choosing anarchy. They are choosing to dismantle all of these systems because ultimately they want to rebuild it in the image of socialists, the socialists who inspire them. And so sometimes that means that we're going to get rid of the police or prisons. And that kind of chaos, they believe, serves that purpose, especially, of course, when the media isn't truly covering it the way that they should. How many times have we heard that Antifa doesn't exist? That Chop and Chaz last year in Seattle was the summer of love. It was like a great little street festival that happened to murder two black teenagers, by the way. So, I think what they do is exploit issues that they can, because Antifa as a group is relatively small in numbers in the context of all the activists. So what I'm actually working on a piece for FoxNews.com right now of get ready for Antifa to start popping back up as we get closer to the midterms, because you're going to have a lot of folks on the left who are understandably anxious about the red wave that hopefully comes. They're going to go out and march. They're going to rally. You've got Supreme Court cases coming out soon that really matter. They're going to be out on the streets, and so that's when you see Antifa, particularly in the Pacific Northwest, but that's what we've also seen. It's spreading.
Well, is there any hope for the West Coast? I mean, you're right. I remember Jenny Durkin, the Seattle mayor, talking about the summer of love, and of course, people lost their lives in that autonomous zone. And then you look, I visited Portland recently, and I was just stunned by these like tent cities along the highway.
LA.
How fast it had just unwound. Is there any hope, politically speaking, for the West Coast? Because it doesn't feel like it.
It's going to take some time. The way I kind of talk about this is like a diet. So let's say you've done hardcore keto for 3 months and you lost 7 pounds. You're like, yes. And then you eat cake at a party over a weekend and you've gained like 13 pounds. So it's really, really easy to cause a lot of chaos. And it's really, really difficult to get us back. We started to course correct. You see in Portland, they've started to change their tone on policing. You've seen in Seattle, you had an abolitionist candidate who was running for Seattle City Attorney who ends up getting defeated by a Republican for the first time in like 30-something years. And so they're clearly, the voters in Seattle are saying, enough is enough, we're going too far. Let's veer a little bit further to get back into the center of things.
Even Gavin Newsom now purporting to say he wants to spend all this money on police. We'll see if it actually happens. Jason Rantz, it's always great to see you at these things.
Thank you,
very much.
Jason.
Appreciate it.
All right, everyone.